War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we sit down, we get together, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us for even just a few minutes just to see what we have to say and hear what the others have to say here about being an Auburn fan and what's on our minds in that perspective. Sports, academics, food, it's all fair game here on this show. As is the case on every Wednesday night live stream, we are open to you all, to your comments, your question, and your calls, which we'll talk about in just a minute, how you can take advantage of that. That is all open tonight. We come to prepared with a starting topic, that being the closing of spring practice, A-Day game, probably our nice cap on all of that type of discussion, although I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of the fallout of that for days and weeks to come. But that is really where we'll start tonight. But anything is fair game. A great baseball team is starting to gear up right now. If you want to talk some about that, what's going to happen with basketball and some of the things that are going on there, it's really up to you what we discuss tonight. And hopefully we'll hear from some of you that want to call in and be part of the show tonight as well. One thing that I want to point your attention to, and we'll talk about this a couple of different times tonight, you'll notice up in the, it's in my right-hand corner. I can't remember in the mirroring. I think it may be the left for you guys. It's always hard to remember that. Right above me right now, you've got a logo for a company that I want to turn your attention to, All Things Auburn. Camp War Eagle is just opened up, and there's always the question of, we know where the students stay for that, but where do the parents stay? How do I plan this event? How do I get around the campus and make sure I'm there in a close proximity to where my students are, where that's where All Things Auburn comes in. Tanya Price there is great at helping you plan that particular event. We'll talk about her some more throughout, but that's why you see our logo up there presented today. This live stream is going to be presented by them, and want you to check them out at All Things Auburn on Facebook, and we'll share right now in the chat their website as well if you'd like to take a look at that for places that you can stay under the guidance of Tanya Price. So check that out if you can. They are a great option for you, and I'll answer any questions that you guys might have about that, but that is who the show is presented by tonight. With that being said, a lot of you already know the drill. Let's go ahead and hit it. The check-in time. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international. Doesn't matter if you're watching the replay. Want to know where you're watching from. If you're international, that is fair game as well with a War Eagle. A lot of you guys are already checking in. Kevin, good to see you. Thomas from Leeds. John, one of our Booster Club members as well. Thank you, sir, for being here and being part of the show tonight. Rob checking in, finally back home in Huntsville. Glad that you're back off the road, sir, and thank you for making the time to join us tonight. For those of you that would like to take advantage of the call-in link, here it is now. It is now open for everybody. It is listed at the top of the chat window. That is how you can access that. I'll share it again throughout the stream, but we'll wait a little bit for that. But that's how you find it. Click on that link. You can be on camera or off camera. It can just be you talking to me with your voice. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but would love to hear some of your thoughts and perspectives tonight across the Auburn family sphere. So do not be shy. War Eagle, Devin checking in. Devin and I got to actually see each other face to face for the very first time on a recent live stream. So that was really great. And Kevin's checking in from Wilmer. All right, what's on y'all's minds? What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to head with this? We can obviously start with, the topic that was listed here, and that being the closing of spring practice, the closing of A-Day, and now moving into the summer. And, really things start to die down now for Auburn athletics. And that's, it's a shame because we still got several programs, but the two prominent ones being baseball and softball going right now. But it's like everybody's minds starts to switch off slowly but surely for the next, let's see, April, May, June, July, really the next 4 months is when things start shutting down for Auburn fans, getting preparation for the football season that is ahead. And that's just the reality of what it is. But there's still plenty to discuss and plenty to talk about. Kevin says the quarterback, that's what's on his mind. Obviously, right? Much to the chagrin of Coach Harsin. It's funny. Apparently, I hadn't had a chance to watch that press conference yet. It's been a busy week. But he was getting all the questions about quarterbacks. And then when someone finally asked a question about the punter, he was like, wow, you're actually doing your job. I know he didn't say those specific words, but that's kind of the way I took it from just reading the response. But yeah, everybody's focused on the quarterbacks. I'll give you a little quick plug. Just released a video today with my updated predictions for who will be the quarterback percentage confidence wise. Not like this is my prediction for who it is, but you can take it from the percentage. So go check that out if you haven't. I'll kind of tease you with that. I won't tell you specifically who I think it is here or isn't. But you can go check that out if you want. So please do that if you can. But the quarterback obviously is on all of our minds right now. Rob, on his mind, portal time. We could use a couple of O-lines, edge players. We have a lot to replace next year. Rob, let me ask you a question. If let's take an offensive line, for instance. If we get no offensive linemen, would you, in your mind, think of that as a failure on the coaching staff's part? Or would you take that as a trusting that they have what they think they need? I'm not saying it technically has to be one or the other, but that's kind of the two ends of the spectrum there. But where would you fall in that? I'm not telling you also that you should prepare for no offensive lineman to come in, but I also am curious if there is an option out there for Auburn to. There's not. Let me back that statement up. There is obviously an option with the transfer portal. Well, there's a will, there's a way, right? If you want somebody, they're out there. But it's a matter of, is it a good fit for Auburn? Is it a good fit for them? And do we need them in the sense of numbers wise? Because that's the thing. We may look at the offensive line and say, yeah, we need them, but we don't. The other thing that's been interesting to me about the fallout of A-Day is everybody that, and I try to caution people on this too. And I don't think people, I don't have the ear of every Auburn fan, but some that I've talked to, I've tried to have them listen. Don't take so much from the spring game that things are so good or so bad in a certain area. The amount of people that think what they saw from the offensive line on spring is what the product's going to be on good or bad come fall time. It's not. We were missing 3 of our starters and a couple of others were kind of banged up. Offensive line was the one thing we weren't going to get answers on. And it's the one thing that a lot of people wanted answers on, and that's fair. That is really fair, but I don't think that we can take definitive statements from that. Linda, good to see you. I know we've said this a lot, but Linda and I got to meet several times this weekend. It was awesome meeting some E2C family in the baseball stadium outside at Tiger Walk. It was a lot of fun. Rob says, not necessarily ours. If we want them, coaches have a reputation they are fighting. I think I understand what you're saying there. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Kevin brings up the wide receivers. They were probably the surprise for me of the A-Day game from several different angles. Really, to be honest with you, from the angle that there are certain names I wasn't anticipating to be as big of a factor in the A-Day game. And I guess that's my fault, right? It's an A-Day game. Pretty much anybody can get out there is going to get out there, right? So you should expect the unexpected. But to see Malcolm Johnson get targeted so much and make the catches, to see, a lot of these other names was really refreshing to see them make some. They still had some drops, but some circus catches and some make what's that? Lemonades out of lemon. Lemonade out of lemons from some throws that were thrown of him, particularly Robbie Ashford, for as athletic as he showed, was a little bit inaccurate, at least early on. And they made him look good with some catches that people were making behind their back off to the side a little bit too much. Wide receivers were definitely an exciting thing. And I think that's probably the reason I walked away a little bit more encouraged after A-Day than I typically do, than I thought I would be for this year, because of how intrigued I was by that group. Thomas, spring game is basically an open practice. It's a lot of fun, but fall camp is really going to give us some answers heading into September 3rd, and it can't get here fast enough. Well, buckle up, because you were in for a long summer, my friend. Yeah. Listen, my favorite time of year is summer, to be honest with you. Second only, well, it is my favorite, and second would be Christmas time, the holiday time, really. And I love fall, but summer I just love so much, and it's weird because there's no sports really going on, and usually baseball and softball are winding down. So yeah, it's going to be a little while to do that. If this was a program that was coming off a really good year, we might be sitting back going, all right, we think we know where we're heading. We can probably sit at ease for a little bit on this. But this summer, where there's so many questions, can we really right this ship from where it kind of started tilting over this year? There's a lot that people want to know answers to, and you're going to have to wait a long time to get them. Yeah. Fall camp too, everybody's going to be together. So that will definitely help as well in terms of getting some answers in terms of rotation and things like that. By the way, if you haven't, please do make sure that you smash that like button. It does help the stream out. And if you're on Facebook watching, make sure you hit the like button there as well. Share it into a group if you can. It does help the stream out. It helps other Auburn fans find us and become part of our little family within the Auburn family. Kevin says Cedric Jackson. Cedric didn't really stick out to me a whole lot in that, but maybe that's just because I'm accustomed to him and I was really focusing my attention elsewhere. Rob, very easy for coaches from other schools to say Harsin may not be there next year. So that's what you meant. So you remember the crap earlier this year, not good for recruiting. Yeah. Now I'm on the same page with you now. Yeah, definitely. I would argue that if you are a coaching staff that's coaching, recruiting, competing against Auburn, which everybody is technically, but obviously SEC teams and SEC West teams, if you're not using every advantage that is afforded to you, then you're not doing your job. So I don't fault them for doing that, but that is going to be the question. And that's why this year is so crucial to show good faith of where the program is heading. And I think that's going to be the struggle for Auburn fans this year, is reconciling their desire for success with a show of good faith. And that's just my interpretation of this. And I think I'm not trying to sit here and prepare Auburn fans for a 6-6 year or worse, but I am saying that I think that expectations need to be tempered again, very, very close. All right, we'll get back to your questions and stuff. We got our first call in, one of our regulars, Mr. Kevin. How are you doing, sir?
War Eagle, how you doing, Kyle?
I am happy because I spent a great weekend on the plains, met some of our people here that you see in the chat right now. Doesn't get any better than that. So I am doing well. How about you?
I love what Robbie did. He won the ball.
Yep, he certainly can. He is very, very athletic. I think he presents a lot of opportunities for Auburn at quarterback. But I also think he showed that he's still very young, and that may not be the best recipe, especially when you've got so many other uncertain pieces around him. That doesn't mean that I don't think he's not going to be the guy. I don't know if you've watched my prediction video yet, but I have him pretty high up there. And remember, the last time I was offering up predictions of who was going to be quarterback, he wasn't part of the equation then because he wasn't here yet. So he did good. He was very exciting to watch.
And Tank Bensley is reproving.
Say that one more time.
Tank.
Yeah. I think he showed he's basically the tank that we need. You know what I like that they showed in A-Day is that they used him in the passing game a lot more, just getting him open. And I think personally what that shows is, and it's an acknowledgement by the coaching staff that, hey, our offensive line's got some questions and we can't keep wasting him by running him into a wall every single time. Let's get him out in the open and see what he can do.
Yeah, passing game.
Exactly. Were you at the game, Kevin?
No, I will be there either September 3rd or the second home game.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely be at the first one, barring, unforeseen circumstances. I think at this moment, I'm not coming to the second game for various reasons, but I usually come to every single home game. But we'll see, I may just decide I'm coming to the second one too. But
do you think they will have fan day the Saturday before the first game?
That's a great question. So they did it last year, and I was surprised that they pulled something off. I think they will have a day similar to what they did last year, where they have kind of similar. I call it an A-Day light, where they have stuff for families to do outside, all that kind of stuff, some vendors and things like that. And they'll have an open practice. But I don't think, if you're wondering if they're going to do like the autograph signings and stuff like that,
They might.
They might. But, a lot of people were saying maybe that was because of COVID. I think it has less to do with that and more with NIL now, because, a lot of these players make money off of their autographs now.
Yeah.
So they will, I can confidently say if they did it last year, they're going to do something where they're going to call it a fan day or an open practice day the week before, but they may not actually have autographs and stuff.
Yeah, they had open practice last year.
Yep. Were you at that?
I wanted to.
I went to it, and I was actually shocked how much I enjoyed it, because they showed us like how they prepared for their warm-ups and stuff. Like, there's a lot of planning that goes into how they come out, when they come out, what order, who warms up first, and what drills they go through. And so for me, that was the most interesting part, was like, oh, I've never seen this all before. So that was really interesting.
You heard about Jeff Klein died?
I did. I'm sad, but I'm happy that you brought that up. And I don't want to go too far without mentioning that I think that was this morning, or I don't know the exact timeline, but it's very sad. For those of you who don't know, Jeff Klein's a former Auburn quarterback, and he recently became ill, and it went quickly. 9. What's that?
He was number 9.
He was, yes. So very sad. There is a GoFundMe out there for anybody that, and everyone's sharing it, so it shouldn't be too hard to find if you want to donate to his wife. And he leaves behind, unfortunately, a wife and 3 children, I believe. Yeah. They're very much going to need to be loved on. So it's very sad. So thank you for reminding me.
And our softball girls won 10-0 today.
That was today, and I forgot about it. Thank you for you reminding me of all the things. That's a nice bounce back, because they had a rough weekend in Fayetteville.
And the baseball team is 23-10.
I know, they're doing great. It's going to be an exciting spring. I'm really happy with how the Diamond Sports are doing. But Kevin, go ahead.
Wait, see if they can win the SEC baseball tournament.
We've got a month until that, I think. So there's some tough teams in the SEC, but Auburn's showing a lot of life, and they're able to compete with the best. So we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle, Kevin, thanks.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, let me get back to some of y'all's questions. I see some of y'all actually asked me some personal questions too, and I'll get to those. But let me back up here. I don't want to miss too many people. High Fly, who is your fan favorite quarterback? I like Holden. If you're asking me, like, not who I think it is, but who's my favorite? Well, my favorite is whoever plays quarterback. Those answers to those type of questions always crack me up. Who is my fan favorite? I don't know. I mean, there is something. Each of them have their own unique stories, right? I love that Zach Calzada has beaten Alabama. I love that TJ is an Auburn guy now. I love that Robbie shows so much athleticism, and I'm a mobile quarterback type of guy. And I like that Holden. There's something about seeing a true freshman beat the odds. That's a tough question. I really honestly haven't sat down and thought about it. What do you guys think? You share that in the chat. Just fan favorite, not who you think, but like if you'd be super happy to see this person start. There's a part, I'll be honest with you. There's a part of me that wants to see TJ Finley prove all these doubters wrong. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But I very much love seeing the people that are being quite rude to him online get a little shut up juice. And that would be fun. So I will say TJ Finley for now. And that's funny because all last year I got accused of, you're not giving TJ Finley a fair shake. No, I'm just looking at who we have. And at that time, Bo was the best option. Linda likes Holden. Holden did a pretty good job. I liked what I saw from him Saturday. What he did as a true freshman cannot be understated. He was playing against the less second string defense with second string, for the most part, players, but still showed a lot of poise, moxie, and talent. I love seeing that. Lots of O-lines, high school seniors this year. However, I think we need to recruit hard for the offensive line, willing to possibly start in 2023. Again, I don't know if you, can't remember if you answered this, Rob, but I'd ask you, if they don't get anybody, will you trust the coaches that they've got what they need? It may prove to be wrong, but I'm just curious because it's not happening. At this moment, it's not happening. But obviously, like you said, there's a long transportal offseason to go. Personal question, Kyle. Does your wife come with you to Auburn or do you go solo? Great question. Jessica, and she can probably hear me right now. So the door is locked because I don't want anybody bursting in. But she comes to Auburn with me when we have a reason for her to do. For instance, my mom lives in Montgomery, so we go visit her a lot. So if that works out, but she's very much a person who enjoys the value of watching it on TV from the comfort of her home. And I get that. I'm I'm a extrovert. I like being in it. So she comes with me probably at least once a year to be in Auburn. We went to the Iron Bowl together last year and she had a great time. But yeah, it's usually more of a just me thing right now. My desire, and I think I would say our desire, but I will admit it's more of me, is to be living in Auburn one day soon, but we won't know when that happens. It'll have to be a good timing thing. This business and this channel and what we always do will continue to have to grow, but kind of I hope that answers your question. Watching the A-Day replay, it seems like the O-line run block has not been fixed. But again, I will counter that with you're watching the backups. So you're going to see some deficiencies there. Doesn't mean that the starters are going to be any better when they're healthy, but got to keep that in mind. Linda, yes, I know you're asking Devin, but she is on Twitter. She's growing in her Twitter fandom too. She's becoming the little, people always like rank their Twitter personalities and stuff like that. I bet Devin's on a bunch of people's now. I'm thinking we will see a 2-quarterback offense this fall. If you're talking about running 2 at the same time, I disagree. I don't think that's Coach Harson's MO. Could be wrong. I think he will give whoever he determines at the end of fall practice or middle, whenever he decides. I would imagine by mid-August, we're going to know who the starting quarterback is, because then classes will start and they'll want to get into their routine. And then that person will be given, I would assume, the first 3 games, with that Penn State game being the pivotal point to show that they're leading this team in the right direction, especially offensively, going forward. And if they do that, then they're going to definitely put themselves in a good position to be the start of the rest of the season. But if that trend is not happening, you could see a change, whoever that is. Could be TJ, could be Zach, could be Robbie. I think, honestly, Holden, as much as I'm excited about his future, showed his potential. I think you need to prepare yourself for one of the other 3. But hey, what he proved, and I said this in my prediction video, Holden proved that he should be taken seriously in this conversation. And I definitely am. I'm just still looking at I think for Holden, it's more of the quality that is ahead of him at the moment than what he's capable of, what he brings to the table. And I don't want that to sound like I'm saying he's not good enough, but there are highly capable options ahead of him in seniority alone. And I think that's going to factor in a lot of that. Holden fits Harson's offense really well. Interesting point. Do you know what Harson's offense is? Because I don't think anybody truly knows. And he's a multiple type guy. So I think Harson can fit anybody. I do think that he needs a guy that has the capability to make a little magic happen, which is why I think Bo fit okay with them. I think Bo just lacked the pieces around him. But I don't know that Harson has a typical quarterback yet, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. I don't think he's going to be our starter. I think it comes down to TJ or Calzada. Well, and that's kind of where everybody's leaning to right now. But I'll be honest with you. I think Calzada is going to really have an uphill fight on his hands, and one that he is highly capable of overtaking, based off of what we've seen out of him with Texas A&M. And I think he can probably, if he plays to the level that we've seen him play and he practices that way, he'll be the starter. But all of these quarterbacks made it a competition, and all of the quarterbacks, the 4 that we've seen the reps from, showed they deserve to be taken seriously and part of the conversation, which to me, who loves to talk about Auburn stuff, it has a YouTube channel. It's just the best, because I thought we were going to get out of A-Day and it was going to be, well, not really changed anything. I might move things up and down, but no, things have certainly changed and become interesting. Let's see. Well, if they don't get any good O-line, poor old high school, it would not be good. We are losing most of our starters after the season. We saw on A-Day the replacements aren't high caliber, and they're not high caliber. Well, I won't say that they're not high caliber. I would say they are not starter level yet, but that's how most of your backups are during that time. It takes years of development to have that happen. I still think personally, if we're going to talk about offensive linemen, we're still, 2 years at least removed from things really trending in the right direction from that. And I don't mean that we're going to have bad offensive linemen and play from that for a long time, but for it to be really solidified again, you're going to really need a strong class. And so that's why I'm hopeful that what was started with Braden Joyner, this recruiting cycle, is going to carry over through the rest of the year. And we're going to have a nice class that's going to come in and build a foundation as sophomores, maybe, that we can sit upon for the next 2 to 3 years after that. I'm a serious O-line and D-line fan. Can't win without the big uglies. Amen. I say that. The amount of people that still don't want to accept that the game is won right there, you don't know football. Yes, the other positions and the other aspects of the game make a huge difference too. But if you cannot establish a line on either side of the ball, you will lose easily. Ryan, good to see you. I think that's how you pronounce that. Ashford is the man. He definitely looked great. Basing Harson's offense based on watching 2 seasons of Boise State games plus the last Auburn season, I guess you're saying that's you're basing your decision that Holden fits it based off of watching that. Oh, yeah. And that's what he ran at Boise State against the competition that he had to play against here. Harsin learned how difficult it is in the SEC last year. It was a school of hard knocks for him. And if you think that a guy that prides himself upon being a multiple type of guy, it won't change in a heartbeat when he learns something needs to change, he'll make decisions. So I think you can get an understanding of what he likes to do. I wouldn't pigeonhole him into that specific offense. I would definitely keep an open mind. He will put the best player out there and build an offense around that player that's going to be and he's even said to you, never build an offense around one player, but you do. He would admit this too. I think I've heard him say it this way. You would have certain things that play to their strengths that you can then switch over and go over to the next strength. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. Without the run block fix, I believe Harsin will choose a pro style quarterback. It's not a bad take. It's makes the most sense. What I'm willing to do is this offensive line is going to have 5 straight home games where there's going to be, not pressure like playing on the road, but, pressure to perform. I'm willing to give them those 5 games to figure it out, get the momentum built. They're going to have 2, what is it? I'm trying to think of it. 5 games, Penn State, and then LSU. I think it's Missouri. And then is it LSU then Missouri? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm willing to give them that amount of time to figure it out before I make judgments on them, because that's a great way to start for them, to be at home, not playing on the road. All this pollen's got my nose itching, y'all. Anyway, we got a great crowd assembling now. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't, and do, even if you're watching on Facebook and Twitter, Call in if you'd like. You can hit the link up above. I will remind you here. Let me pull it up for you guys again. Kevin has already called in tonight. Don't be shy. Would love to hear from some of you all. I don't bite too hard. I am a nice guy most of the time. So what else? Let's keep the conversation going. Obviously, can still talk a lot about spring, a lot about football. I would say this, if you're not paying attention to baseball, you need to be, because it's doing really good. Kevin brought it up earlier that he's already anticipating us doing some big things in the SEC tournament. I will actually be going on vacation again. I know people are like, you just went on vacation. Pretty much the day after or the day of it starting. And so I'm not going to be able to cover the SEC tournament pretty much at all, because I'll be gone all that week, which I'm really, really sad about. Or else I might actually be in Birmingham for it. It's so cool that we get to have a major SEC tournament in our home state, literally within an hour and a half of us. And, Atlanta is 2 hours, if that, for Auburn. But it's much different story they're both big cities, but two completely different stories there. I love that we get to play in Birmingham. We usually always travel there well. Auburn fans just travel really well. And I'm super proud of us for that, because we have a lot of reasons sometimes we shouldn't travel well, but we just can't get enough of our Tigers, no matter how good or bad that they're doing. And I've always said this for any semi-pro team. If you want to get a fan base built behind you, hire an Auburn player, hire an Auburn coach. I think it was Gene Chizik who was supposed to be coaching the Birmingham team in the USFL. That would have been real sweet. And Auburn fans would have definitely latched onto that, but that's not going to be the case now. Anybody going to be watching the USFL? I am. I'll take football however I can get it. I will be in Cancun in a couple weeks. Will I see you there? No, Rob. No. I am going to be going to Florida again for about a week. And that'll probably be my last real vacation, other than going to the beach probably once on a weekend in the summer. So that we will have used up basically all our vacation money for the year in a matter of in half a year, which is really sad to see. Any Birmingham players on the Beeham Stallions team? But you know what? It's funny you asked that. We'll keep talking, but I will pull that up. Pull that up over here. Birmingham Stallions. I feel like somebody will get to that before I actually bring it up. If the Birmingham Stallions do not have an Auburn or an Alabama player on their roster, they have failed. Let's see here. Birmingham Stallions roster. If you guys know, please do share. Here we go. USFL. I'm going to just kind of make a quick sweep. We won't bore you guys too much with this, me trying to do that, but a quick sweep. I haven't really dug into this a whole lot to see that. If the XFL had lasted more than a year, there were some decent Auburn players in prominent positions like Cameron Artis-Payne that we were going to start probably covering on a more regular basis, but we'll have to see here. All right. I am just scrolling. I don't see anybody on offense on the Stallions that I recognize. Actually, you know what? Kyle, they're listed right. Here's a UAB player. Excuse me. I see no Auburn or Alabama players. Wow. That's just a shame. How do you not have one Auburn or Alabama player on your roster and you're in Birmingham? You need all the gimmicks you can get when you're trying to survive a spring football season that hasn't worked in quite some time. All right, Ryan, in Harson's own best interest, we need to do as well as we can possibly do, regardless if he's retained at Auburn or the next head coach elsewhere. All of the other coaches as well expect him to win. What does that mean for you, Ryan? Dusty, I haven't seen him check in tonight, but he was having a fair debate with somebody via one of our posts, and they were discussing, standards and expectations of win. What does that mean for you in terms of how often your team should win and at what pace and all that kind of stuff? I think a lot of that there's a certain degree that I agree with. We should expect to win a lot every season. But I also think that there has to be some of that based in reality and context of the situation that we find ourselves in, and understanding that to manage us from making stupid decisions like we made in 2020. Um, I'm going to get myself in trouble tonight. But yeah, that always has to be part of the equation there. All right. I see Corey's here. Good to see you. Corey, we've missed you the last couple of live streams. Missed you on the baseball live streams. You missed Clint too. Unless, were you there? I can't remember. I had Clint over. You've been asking for Clint and he was there. Zach Etheridge is on fire in recruiting, but he needs more support. I think he's getting a lot of support. I think just because you're not seeing the fruits of that yet doesn't mean that there's not a lot of work being put in. We as fans measure the success, and somewhat rightfully so, of a recruiting staff by what they bring in. And in essence, that's really what determines it. But that doesn't mean that the effort's not there and they're not putting their best foot forward. But as we've brought up recently, there's a lot that they're fighting against right now from other teams, narratives, as was said, that are against them. You fix that by performing on the field. It's kind of a hand-in-hand situation. But yes, Zach Etheridge is going to be one of those decisions that I think, should Harsin turn this around and the right direction, we'll look back on and say, well, that was a turning point there, making sure he keeps him on board. Will the Penn State game be an orange out? This is petty, but I hope we do a whiteout. Here's the problem. We'll never do it to the level that they will, but it would be so funny to watch us do a whiteout game and just kind of shove it in their faces. I kind of hope that we don't do anything, because we will prove that we don't need that for an incredible environment. They need that for their environments. They don't get fired up unless it's the whiteout game. We used to have a lot of Penn State fans that frequented our channel back about a couple months ago, few months ago, actually. And I'm sure they would refute that statement. But I've talked to several of them outside of here, and they were admitting that, saying, yeah, we really don't get excited except for the whiteout game. Which, everybody's got their thing, I guess. We just like football, not wearing t-shirts. I don't remember where it was from, but some post on Twitter predicted Auburn to go 1-7 in the conference play this year. That is pretty ridiculous. I would say suggesting that an Auburn team, I would say predicting they go 1-7 is just as I won't say erroneous, as short-sighted as saying that they should win, all but one of the SEC games too. A lot of context missing from that analysis. You're playing, I think it's Missouri this year from the other side. Mississippi State, as long as you play defense, they're very beatable. Have a hard to hold in offense, but they're very beatable. There's 2 wins right there. Arkansas, you just never know what Arkansas you can get, but that should be beatable as well. Right there's 3 already. Listen, can this thing go completely south? It certainly did in the offseason, so it could certainly do it in the end season, but I think that's a little bit of a step out on my part. To win games, he's supposed to win when they're picked to win. Is that something I said, or I'm not picking up on that? Penn State, hopefully we can see the AU Chrome helmets. Oh, no. I am, me. I think, Rob, you are more of a open-minded when it comes to uniforms. For me, I'm a traditionalist at heart, and I hope with a passion that we don't see anything like that. I'm not a gimmicky person, but I recognize that we can't make decisions off what Kyle wants alone. All right, we'll get back to your comments and questions. I do want to remind you again, as I pointed out at the beginning of the show, pointing in the right direction right here. Logo presented by our show tonight is presented by All Things Auburn. So you can find them on Facebook. Type in All Things Auburn. There's 2 entities like that, but you'll see that logo listed right up there. This is the place that you want to be if you're looking for help for finding a place to stay at Auburn, for planning your event in Auburn. this is definitely a great resource for you. We're partnering up with them right now, bringing some attention to them, especially for those of you that are going to be parents of students about to go to Auburn that are going through Camp War Eagle. You know where they're going to stay, but you need a place to stay. They have spots over there at Auburn's Game Day Center, which is I think it's 0.1 miles. That's literally, you see the stadium. You can see the stadium and walk to it in 5 minutes. I think if I did my math right there. Great location there. So see Tanya Price there, All Things Auburn. And you can check out their website as well for help planning your stay at Auburn game day and out of game day as well. It's a great location. It's a relative scale. I think we were talking about success. Hard to beat Bammer and TAMU this year. Everybody thinks that, right? Everybody thinks that, with reason, that Alabama's going to be good again this year. They have Bryce Young back, who's highly overrated in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though. And Texas A&M is certainly bringing in the talent. But just because you bring in the talent doesn't mean you put the pieces together well. If that was the case, I forget what year it was, the Lakers team with Kobe and Shaq and Karl Malone and Gary Payton, I'm dating myself a little bit, would have been dominant because that was an all-star team put together on one team. And then same thing with the Lakers right now. They're not as successful either. Talent does not equate success all the time. You have to be a good team. Now you'll see. Brody, I'm here. Just got done working out, so I'm going to take a shower. I'll be back on if you're still live. We'll be live till around 9-ish. Depending on how the conversation's going, we might stay on a little late. Neil, there he is. Good to see you, my friend. One of my fellow East Cobb people. I'm trying to keep the lights on for everyone. Are you a pole? You work on the power line? Is that what you do, Corey? Well, thank you for your service in a way, I guess. Harson gonna wear the 0-7 shirt around like Bruce wore the 4-14. Be a great motivating to Unbeaten Lake. It would definitely be one of a strategy you could utilize to light a fire under the pants of your play. I don't think there's anything needed to fire up this team. They understand that the expectations are very low for them. They understand that nobody expects them to win the SEC, much less be competitive in the SEC. And I think there's something about the Auburn spirit that people that come here and truly want to be a part of it and stay here, they get that. It resonates with them. And that there's something about that when you see those type of conversations, that you see those things being said about you, it hits you in your soul and you respond. It's that blue collar mentality, right? How dare you question my hard work? You may not have seen the fruits of my labor yet, but boy, when I show you, it'll be incredible. All right, we have got our second caller of the night, so let's say hello to him. I don't think we've had a chance to talk to him recently, at least. Mr. Thomas, how is it going, sir?
It's going great, Kyle. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Great to talk to you. Have you called in before, Thomas?
This is my first time to call in, actually.
Well, and this is a special treat, so thank you for calling in.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. What's up, E2C family?
What is up, everybody? Say hello to Thomas here. What's on your mind, Tom?
Man, I know it's a long wait till fall ball. I know it's a long wait, but I'm so excited to see what comes out of fall camp.
Yeah. Were you at the A-Day game?
No, I had to work that day, unfortunately, but I'm fighting to get a day on the calendar at work so I can be there for a game this year. I did get to go to the Birmingham Bowl, though, but that was not the outcome I wanted.
I was there as well. I'm glad we were in the game the entire time, but it kind of felt like as the game went on, we were out of the game. You know what I mean? So it was kind of one of those things. I've seen this story. I've sung this song before. I know how this goes. Sure enough, it went that way. So what do you think? I mean, there's a lot of people not anticipating Auburn to do a whole lot in football this year. I mean, do you agree with that statement? Or are you kind of preparing yourself for that? Or do you expect the unexpected?
But when it comes to the national picture of football, nobody really thinks we're going to do much. They saw what happened this year. And that's understandable. You're not part of the Auburn family. You don't feel it the same way we do. But I'm thinking I would love 10 wins. I'd love more than that. But I understand that this is football. This is college football in the SEC. This is the big leagues, the big boys. It takes time to build the staff. It takes time to get everybody on board with your program and buy in. And I'll take 8 and be extremely happy with 8 wins this year.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that have a hard time accepting that. And I get it. I do. And you kind of alluded to that as well. We don't want to, there's this conversation always that somehow you get accused of accepting mediocrity if you acknowledge that 8 wins would be a success. I disagree with that vehemently. I think you really have to look at things in the context of what's going on, not just in your program, but SEC wise, nationally, and be able to set expectations that are reasonable, but plan and hope and know that we're capable of much more. I'm going to probably wait a long time till I give you my official, 2022 prediction, because I'm going to need to see some fall camp before I'm ready to do those type of things.
Right. You're 100% correct. And it's spring is a lot of fun, like I mentioned earlier, but it's an open practice. We didn't have the whole O-line. The whole playbook is not there yet. When I spoke earlier about Harsin and his offense, I'm thinking about tendencies, down and distance. What is he like? Is he? I think he's wanting a cerebral quarterback that's got the athletic ability of a college quarterback. Mm-hmm. They've got to be able to see the situation and make the right decision based on what he's calling. So that's why I think Holden fits that particular spot for him.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask and so you think Holden fits that mold. And I think personally, there was something about when I saw Holden in the offense that really fit to me. But as we talked about keeping things in context, I'm really trying, I preach that, so I'm trying to live that. I try to keep things in context and understand he is playing against the second and third string defense, so he should look better. But there's something to be said for a guy coming in early. He should be in high school still. I mean, frankly, he should be still. He shouldn't have even gone across the stage yet for graduation, and he's coming out there competing with SEC level talent and doing a pretty decent job at it. Because even our backups, they're good enough to be backups in the SEC, and they're probably starters elsewhere. So that's right. That tells you the level that you're playing against. So I think Holden showed a lot of promise, and it's not that I wasn't taking him seriously before the spring, but I walked away Saturday going, wow, if there was any doubt that he needs to be considered having a fair shot at the starting job, he proved it today.
Right. And he's only been in the playbook for a couple of months and in the system actually running these plays for 15 practices.
Yes.
So for him to make those strides that quickly, coming, like you said, shouldn't have even been there yet, but to make those strides that early, that bodes well for the future. And he's going to be a great recruiter for us. He's already shown that. He is all over social media, the Google box, as I call it, working it. He is working it day in, day out. And I love it. That's going to turn him into an Auburn man faster than anything else, is that he is bought in. He is here for a reason. He wants to win some football games.
I love that you just called it the Google box. I'm stuck on that.
Because I finally have a phone that allows me to do it. Real low tech, man.
I'm gonna have to get that off my mind now. That's funny. Yeah, I'm excited for his future, and I'm excited for him, being a recruiter for us. And since you brought that up, I want to, Braden Joyner probably never going to see this, but he was the first recruit for the 2023 team. He is hardcore going after guys, and it doesn't matter what position it is. Time and time again, you see these guys that come in the recruiting class as the first one. It's like they take that mantle. I'm the lead recruiter. And you don't typically see offensive linemen being those type of guys. They're ready just to come in and get their nose dirty and go to work. But he's going to work in another way. He is going after these guys that are supposed to be, that should be ready to commit to us and saying, join the fam, man. So if you want to look at leaders already, Braden Joyner, we better appreciate him because he's doing the work right now.
and we live in an age where the players and the recruits can talk to each other like that. You know, in 2004, what are you going to do? Email some guy in Mississippi and go, I'm going to Auburn too. You should get, there's no picture with it. You don't get to talk to these guys. There's not multiple platforms. Like, so this could bode well for everybody, but I'm a homer, man. I want it to be better for Auburn than anybody else. But who in the chat can blame me?
Yep. I'm imagining a carrier pigeon now back in like the 90s, you know, going over there and sending like, you want to come be part of our team? By the way, let me give a little quick shout out to Ryan here. Thank you so much for that super chat, sir. You are very much appreciated for that. It'll help keep the lights on here. Thank you, sir.
That's awesome.
Yep. Anything else in your mind other than football, or is that just kind of where your focus is at right now?
Man, I'm really excited for the gymnastics championships.
Oh, I completely forgot about that this weekend. That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to that, and I love watching college softball. Mm-hmm. So who better to watch than Auburn? And how about the equestrian?
Yes,
that's great. Yes. So actually, we had that on a replay the other night. My wife and I were watching it. So she's a Bama fan, but you know, SEC equestrian, it's on TV, so let's watch it.
Prayers up for Thomas tonight with the Bama fan wife.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
So I'll say this. Someone pointed it out on Twitter. I think it was like yesterday that I think it's either between Thursday. It may have all been on Thursday, but Thursday and Friday, you've got gymnastics national championship starting, equestrian national championship. Basically, just think of it all this weekend. So gymnastics, equestrian, women's golf SEC championship or men's, one of the two is starting this weekend too. And you've got you've got baseball and softball in action. And then there's a track and field meet at home too. I know not everybody gets super excited about that, but this is a weekend, man, and it's Easter weekend. I mean, there's a lot going on to pay attention to this. I'm not going to be able to sleep at this point. But anyway, hey Thomas, thanks for calling in tonight. Good to hear from you. Hope we'll get you to call in again soon.
Oh yeah, it'll happen again. And good night, everyone. Hashtag E2C for life. Don't forget it.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, War Eagle.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good night. Awesome. We still got a few more minutes, so if you'd like to call in like Thomas and Kevin have done tonight, all you gotta do is hit that link up there. It'll bring you in. You don't have to be on camera like they were. It can just be your voice. I know that's kind of a weird thing. Listen, the amount of time it took me to get used to being on camera, I've been podcasting since 2014, and it took me that long. You know, I started doing this YouTube stuff a year and 3 months ago, so that's how long it took me to get used to being on camera. So I know it takes time. All right, we missed a bunch of y'all's comments and questions. Russell checked in. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. You're a landscaper. Want to come do my yard for me? I'm pretty cheap though. The funny thing about Fisher is that he gets the top recruits, but they get hurt and AM sucks the rest of the season. Yeah, it does seem to be the narrative. So I would say this. He started beating Alabama last year, proved that he is capable of bucking that trend, but he's got to do it on a consistent basis. The Auburn band account got hacked. Wow. You don't really see that happening for like, you know, school management accounts. What sometimes it makes me wonder first of all, for many reasons, these people that do this, if you expend that much energy on something else of value, you imagine what you could accomplish. But anyway, what are you going to accomplish with the Auburn band account? Like, it's really just for us, the fans and their families to enjoy. Like, what are you going to accomplish with that anyway? You think that Calzone will take the reins of head honcho? Maybe so. Long time though. Let's see here. Back it up. The hashtag Googlebox. Yes. Caleb Wooten too. I missed what the context was for that, but I do miss Caleb having Chandler is what you maybe were talking about. Chandler Wooten is part of the team. Optimistic. Auburn gets a top 10 recruiting class, possible top 5 with the incredible amount of talent Auburn currently has a shot at. Right. They got a shot at that. They got to pull it in. Auburn is always capable of pulling in a top 10 team. There's no question there. Whether they do that or not is the question. And there was an outside chance they could have maybe done something like that this season, despite they had going on, but didn't have a great second half of the recruiting cycle. Question for everyone. How many SEC championship will Auburn get this year? We've got 2 already. So we've got a men's basketball regular season championship and equestrian championship. So you would really need, so all you've got left is track and field, and you could have a men's or women's there. You've got softball, you've got baseball and golf and tennis. I think the men's tennis is kind of outside looking in, but there's a shot that your women's team could do it. By the way, I continue to forget how much fun Auburn tennis is at home. If you are in Auburn for one of these, actually, I think that was the last of the season, so never mind. Do yourself a favor next year, because they like softball and baseball somewhat. They play some fall matches. Go to a tennis match. It's so easy. It's free. It's fun, especially when it's outdoor season. It's a lot, very good weather out there. Anxious to see how well our recent grads do in the draft. It was good to see many of them at A-Day. So one good thing about A-Day is it makes you really, it brings home the family, right? It makes you feel that. And that's why I stress A-Day is what you should come to every year. It's cheap. There's a lot going on. And it really, I hate using this word because it sounds like I'm into all this kind of stuff. It centers you in terms of what's most important. Are we there to win games, matches, win our sporting events? Yes. Are we there to win championships? Yes. But if you don't value things more than that, you will never, ever be satisfied. And I promise you that. And I promise you will lead a miserable life. And I'm not trying to get all philosophical, but that's just something that I've learned in my life. And I hope that all of you guys can too. Or maybe you already know that. It is a hard lesson to learn. My dad hammered it into my head. And unfortunately, after he passed, I started learning it myself. And I've learned to value the whole of the Auburn experience and not just the football, not just the basketball. And so those wins are even higher, and those lows, they aren't so low, because I know where to put my value into, or at least I try to. Yes, it does, Russell. It continues to grow every day. We got to meet some of y'all in person. And listen, we're not the biggest out there. We're not the biggest YouTube channel. We're not the biggest podcast, and we probably never will be. My hope is one day we will be quite larger, but I never want us to lose that Auburn feeling, the intimate nature of where me personally, as the guy in front of the camera, can know you guys. Some of the contributors to our network and podcast form can know some of you guys a little bit easier. So yeah, I hope that we will continue to grow, but I hope we do it the right way, and I hope we do it at the right pace. There's a certain element of you can grow too big too fast and get too big for your britches too. Let's see here. Devin encouraging people to call in. It's not scary. See, I didn't bite, did I, Devin? Yes, I know you're busy tonight. Listen, I know that not everybody's, it's not even a scary thing. It's just I don't have time to, and you're just able to tune in when you can. Just know that it really means a lot when you guys call in, because A, I get to take a break from talking, but B, it's just nice to see you guys. It really is. Recruiting, Kyle Chandler's little brother making contact recruits too. Is he really? Nice. I think, Rob, what they were talking about was just like Facebook or Twitter account, one of the two. Please don't tell me we don't have an SEC championship in fishing. We might, but I thought you were talking about the NCAA sanctioned sports. Yeah, we might there. I remember at Auburn walking miles to my car, enjoying watching some tennis while walking by. I mean, that's a long walk if you were walking that far. Of course, the tennis courts were different than, they weren't at Yarborough. If you're walking to Yarborough, you must be at the game of the century, because those cars are lined up for miles. It's It's outside of there's a circle that pretty much it's more of a semicircle, but that Sugar Jordan Parkway, they're on that like northwest corridor of the Sugar Jordan Parkway. Let's see here. Currently, Montevallo is #1, Auburn's #2. Oh, we can easily take them. All right, we'll stay on for a little bit longer, having some great conversation here. Keep your comments and questions. Anything's open. Still talk about football, all that kind of stuff. The good thing is when in the off season where things aren't as crazy with football and stuff, I have a little bit more flexibility to stay on longer sometimes. So we can do that some. I try to kind of be respectful of y'all's time and keeping an hour increments, but there's a little bit more flexibility on my end when things start quieting down. So we'll hang on for a few more minutes here. Keep your comments and questions coming. A couple reminders again. As I said, I gotta get used to this. Up here in the screen, all things Auburn. I want you guys to go check them out, especially if you are or if you know someone that is a parent that is needing a place to stay for Camp War Eagle. The students have their place, you need your place, and you want to be somewhere close proximity, not just to them, but to campus, to all the things around campus that you want to get involved in downtown. This is where you want to stay. They have rooms at Auburn's Game Day Center. You've probably seen it right behind Mama Goldberg's. And then they have the ability to help you plan the rest of your stay there. So please do check them out. They are sponsoring this broadcast with us and having us be associated with them, which is a big help in terms of helping their brand grow and ours. So thank you guys so much for that. Wanted to give them another shout out tonight. And obviously check out the links in the description. I kind of had a brain fart there for a second. Check out the links in the description for ways that you can get involved here, whether it's being a channel member, hit the join button, $1 a month, all it takes. Be a booster club member, $1 a month. Several of you do both of things. You don't have to, but I'm appreciative of that. That's got some different things there for you if you want to do that instead or do both of them. And then there's other ways in the description to help support us. But just being here, hitting the like button is the best thing that you can do for us, honestly. The old tennis courts. Yes. I hope that's what you're walking past now. The live streams are the highlight. Thank you so much. That really makes my day to hear you guys say that. When's basketball recruiting taking place? I know they got a couple of commits already. So yeah, Johan, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Traore is all ready to go for Auburn. He's part of this. There was a LSU guy, Julian Phillips, that was an option for us. I think honestly, right now, Johnny Broom, I think his name is, from Morehead State, is a likely option for us as well to get another big man. But if you listen to what Coach Bruce Pearl says, there's really an emphasis on including and building around Jalen Williams. And I'm almost wondering if you bring in someone, then you have to kind of relegate him to a backup role again, but a glorified backup role, meaning basically you wish you could start him, but you have too good a talent not to. So I'm not convinced that we're not done recruiting. We still got a spot open, so we'll fill it in an ideal world, but I'm just curious if we're going to see anything come up soon. Johnny Broom is the name that I'd watch right now, to be honest with you. Let's see here. A lot of people catching up here in the chat. Appreciate the kind words, Rob. But yeah, that's basically what I would keep up to date with right now is obviously Auburn baseball, softball, the other spring sports. Just kind of keep a listen out for maybe one more basketball recruit coming in. And then I feel like we'll get some more football recruits starting to gear up here. You usually see that a little bit after spring practice and stuff, especially as we kind of get a lot of these recruits, especially with the early signing period. They'll want to get their school choice locked in before they start their season. So that can be the focus for them. So you'll probably start seeing that towards July and things like that. I know it feels quiet in the off season, but usually that's some of the best times for us as Auburn fans together where we can just really enjoy being with each other. Hoover's a great place for, are y'all talking about the youth baseball? It's a great place for all baseball, especially the SEC tournament baseball. If I wasn't going to be out of town, I'd be there. All right, I think we'll cut it off there for tonight. But guys, thank y'all so much for being here. Again, as a reminder, most of y'all know this, we will be live next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Take your calls, your questions. And also we will be live this Monday night at 8 p.m. The next one coming up to talk about the baseball and softball weekend that was. So I hope you can join us then. It would be, had some great discussions with those that have been able to be there live. Hope you can be there too. And we'll talk about hopefully another surging Auburn weekend for baseball and a bounce back weekend for Auburn softball. But guys, thank y'all so much for being here. You guys are the best little family in the Auburn family. I always enjoy our conversations and enjoy being with y'all. And you continue to prove why I continue to do this and why it's so awesome to be with you here on YouTube on Wednesday nights. Thank you guys. Thank you to Ryan again for that super chat again, sir. You are the bomb. Thank you guys for being here. Smash the like button on the way out. Until we talk to you again.